Sound like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Hello!
Murder to Mystery, the Cyntoia Brown story. After 16-year-old Cyntoia Brown is sentenced to life in prison, questions about her past, physiology, and the law itself call her guilt into question. So this is a 96 documentary that spans a number of years, and the majority of this documentary is sat in courts, in various courts or rooms that are court-like. It's the story that is told from the perspective of this, basically the people that are trying to help Cyntoia. You also get to see bits about her family and the origins of her life, and bits about her mother and her adopted mother, and basically they go through the origins of trying to discover why she did what she did and the act of violence that she did, and does she need to spend 51 years in jail for the rest of her life. There does seem to be this split thought process of, once you kill somebody, you need to be jailed and you need to have the appropriate punishment. And then things that change, as well as with laws that change, brings that sort of sentencing into question. And this story itself is quite an astonishing one, quite one that is thought-provoking, because as laws do change, if you've done something horrific, should that be brought up into question? And this case particularly has been in the limelight. It's had a number of documentaries told about it, and the people that involved have grown to help Cyntoia. I thought it was very interesting because at the beginning I wasn't sure where this was going. I hadn't heard about it. My son had heard about it. I think the filmmaking itself is fine. Daniel H. Berman is no stranger to making documentaries or making documentary shorts, so it's crafted well and the story is told well, and there's a fruition at the end. It's a very interesting take on taking content that's been provided before over a number of years and stringing that together. There is a really nice story structure arc here, but I think what's going to keep you riveted and what's going to keep you maybe invested, emotionally invested, is whether you are rooting for her or not. And I think it'll be hard not to, because when this happened, when this violence happened, she was 16, and the stuff that had happened to her before doesn't justify what she did, but throws in question why she did what she did, and like how a mum has been affected, what a mum's gone through, and that whole situation surrounding it. It's a very dark story, and as the documentary flows, you get to understand more and more. And then the heartbreak as things don't pan out for her, as people continuing to fight for her, and how hard that is because it spans a number of years. And I think the documentary shows that really well, as people have to live life but continue to fight for Cyntoia. I really like the little documentary snippets as well that we get with her, as you see her tackling life and what that means for her now as she has to deal with rejection after rejection, and how some people would just crumble, and how she kind of forms a life within prison. The injustice of some of the things that go down in our life. I mean, this is real world story stuff. This is no fairy tale Hollywood ending. This is the stuff that documentaries rarely talk about. They get to the nitty gritties of what really real life is about. And I think this documentary has a real way of storytelling, showing true life moments, and I guess getting you involved in that. I'll be interested to see what people think about the outcome of this. Do you think it was just? Do you think I'm trying not to do spoilers for a documentary of stuff that is out there in the open, but if you haven't heard about this story, then maybe you won't want to know the spoilers, the outcome of it. The thing is, I think it was justified. It's interesting how we believe one thing and then we believe another thing after a number of years have passed. That's to do with, how we change our mindsets and our thinking, and that's something else this documentary shows. What we know to be right in now may be different in 10 years' time. And I think that's a very interesting look at, as this documentary spans this amount of time, you get to see things change, you get to see people change, you get to see law change, and you see who's willing to give a second chance on a person's life. And how you go about doing that it's a very interesting story. It's going to be hard for certain people to watch because it is emotionally engaging in certain parts, but at the same time, this isn't a Tiger King documentary. It isn't exciting like that. This is mostly court courtroom sequences and interviews with family members and lawyers and that kind of thing. So it isn't like a bright tigers. It's not that sort of documentary, but it is about something horrific that happened that shaped a person's life and those around her, and I think it chronicalizes that very well. Is chronicalizing a word? I'm not sure it is, but it's well put together. You can see the documentary is like a work of love because it's taken a while to get it out, but it's also taken stock footage from her life where she's been interviewed, and they've made a documentary about her and put that all together into a well-crafted story that I think will have people talking. It's interesting how social media was used for good here as well, where it spurned again and brought this case into the limelight. I think it had something like 1 million tweets at one stage when Rihanna tweeted, and I think that was probably a big part of what moved it back into the courtrooms. Let me know in the comments below if you've heard about this before, if you've been following it for a while. What do you think about the outcome? Do you think it should have been different, or do you think it's a good outcome? Thanks so much for watching my thoughts on this documentary kind of review. Thanks so much for watching this. We have more content coming out. If you like my content, give us a thumbs up, injured thumb. If you don't, give us a thumbs down. Do chat to me in the comments below. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.